Father, I pray that as we open your word together, that you would speak to us. I pray that I wouldn't do anything to get in the way of what you want to say. And I pray that people would leave here today talking about you, not about me. I pray that you would help me to point to you. Father, I thank you for the gift of your word that we so often take for granted. And these days we don't even need to be carrying a big book around with us, that we can carry umpteen versions of the Bible in our pockets. And yet we still take it for granted so much. It's a lot easier to even pull these things out of our pockets to check the football scores or who's having what for dinner on Facebook. I pray that you'd help us to remember when we pull our phones out of our pockets too, to read your word. And that every time that we do that, that we would expect you to speak to us, because your word says that is alive. And it speaks to us and it cuts through situations and gives us wisdom. And Lord, I pray that you would just help us as we open your word to expect to hear from you. It's a love letter from you. And I pray that you would help us to get to know you better and better as we read your word together and as we study it today. Lord, I pray that you would speak to us, that you'd encourage us, that you'd inspire us, that you'd challenge us where we need it to. For those of us that need a healing touch from you, I pray that you would touch us as we open your word together, as we study it, just that you would move by your Spirit throughout the service. It's not about one person doing it, one person praying this, that, and the other, or anything else like that. It's about you. And Lord, I pray that you would touch our hearts as we focus on you, as we fix our eyes on you. Lord, speak to us, for your servants are listening. Amen.
Amen.
I have a little story to read to you before we start. I got this one from Joyce Meyer. Maybe if any of you have heard of her, she's a very well-known Bible teacher who teaches in front of thousands of people. And so you can't accuse me of being sexist because I got it from a woman. Okay? Just want to put that out there now. A store that sells new husbands has opened, where a woman may go to choose a husband. Among the instructions at the entrance is a description of how the store operates. You may visit this store only once. There are 6 floors, and the value of the products increase as the shopper ascends the flights. The shopper may choose any item from a particular floor, or may choose to go up to the next floor. But you cannot go back down except to exit the building. So, a woman goes to the husband's store to find a husband. On the first floor, the sign on the door reads, Floor 1, these men have jobs. She's intrigued, but continues to the second floor where the sign reads, Floor 2, these men have jobs and love kids. That's nice, she thinks, but I want more. She continues upward. The third floor sign reads, Floor 3. These men have jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking. Wow, she thinks, but feels compelled to keep going. She goes to the 4th floor and the sign reads, Floor 4. These men have jobs, love kids, are drop-dead good looking, and help with housework. Oh, mercy me, she exclaims. I can hardly stand it. Still, she goes to the 5th floor and the sign reads, Floor 5. These men have jobs, love kids, are drop-dead gorgeous, help with housework, and have a strong romantic streak. She is so tempted to stay. But she goes to the 6th floor where the sign reads, Floor 6. You are visitor 31,456,012 to this floor. There are no men on this floor. This floor exists solely as proof that women are impossible to please. Can I just say that's not true? Have I got a clicker somewhere for them?
Yeah. On the like.
Oh yeah, there it is. Look at it. The second illustration is to prove that sometimes men can be really thick. It's see-through. How did I not? I could, in my mind, I could see that I'd seen it, and I just couldn't think where it was. Thank you.
Oh, please don't work.
It is that one, isn't it? Sideways.
Yeah.
Where am I aiming? At the back? There must be a repeater somewhere.
Oh, don't tell me it's the batteries. Oh, it's not the battery. Oh, it's gonna be awkward if it's the batteries.
I'll be back with you in a minute. There's nothing happening. Thankfully, Callum has batteries. No, not Callum, is it? Cameron.
I have the right batteries.
Otherwise, I might just be shouting at you to press buttons.
That's not one.
Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. This is a pretty picture for you to look at on the screen.
Too many. Right. Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's why Jesus never used power. Right. We're going to be looking a bit today at the church of the last days and on what that means. So last week, as we went down to Joshua's graduation, we were driving back up on the Sunday evening, and did you have storms here?
Yes.
So we were kind of driving back. We were mostly ahead of it at that point. But I've never seen the sky so black. And like everywhere we looked, there was lightning, just incredible. And thankfully we were kind of on the edge of it all the time, but it was quite a storm, wasn't it? Anybody here get scared of thunderstorms? Then Mum used to hide in the cupboard. we like thunderstorms, don't we? Although as long as you're not walking in it at the time. So, and actually there's been a lot about storms on the news recently. We've had, the massive hurricane that caused loads of trouble in the Caribbean and America, and other storms around the world. And with all the uncertainty in the world at the moment, it can really feel like we're in a storm, especially if you watch the news. Massive inflation, shortages of everything, and the threat of power cuts. There's war, and now even the threat of nuclear war. There's political upheaval everywhere. So we're almost on a new prime minister every week at the moment. But it's just that there's no, things that you used to think were a constant. Everything's changed. And there's a lot of uncertainty. But actually that means that actually there's something that we need to be doing. I've been kind of thinking about that already. But this verse in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 2 says, "Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith." It doesn't say, let us glance at Jesus every now and then. When you fix something, well, mostly when you fix something, it stays fixed. But let us fix something. It's not like, that's quite a strong word, isn't it? Fix our eyes on Jesus. So no matter what else is going on around us, fix your eyes on Jesus. When Peter walked on the water, they were in the boat on the Sea of Galilee, there was a storm. Jesus walked on the water. So I imagine what that must have been like, kind of even seeing that. You can see why the disciples were terrified. Jesus turns up just, and I love the way that it says too that he was going to walk past them. Right, guys. and then they were terrified, and then he says, "Don't be afraid, it's me." Because what is it? Is it the King James? It says, "It is I." And the trouble is, whenever Len and I often say silly things. But do you remember "hello, hello"? And there used to be there was a bloke who pop up and say, "It is I." Was it Leclerc or something? But Jesus is like, "It's me. Don't be afraid." And so Peter says, "Look, okay, if it's really you, then tell me to come out on the water to you." So I wonder what Peter was thinking at that point when he says, "If it's really you." If it wasn't Jesus and they called him to come out and he called it, it's like, "No, it's not me." But Jesus calls Peter and he gets out and he starts walking. And all the time he's fixing his eyes on Jesus, he's walking above the storm.